welcome to the weekly AP Poll College Basketball Show here on Talking Ball. We're on week 13 here, JD. We're very close to March. We're a month away. How you feel?
It turned February. I can feel it. I've already been making adjustments to my calendar. Bless you. Made adjustments to my calendar to make certain I'd be here for the days. Giving up. There's nothing like it. So as we inch closer, we learn more about each team. And while there is a clear number one, I'm beginning to think this is a year that might be full of surprises, not like last year when the four top teams were the number ones, and that's who made it to the Final Four. Well, it'll be how the ball falls, but all right, let's see where we are at the end of uh, this past weekend. There were a lot of great matchups. And I can't wait for you to, highlight a few of the ones coming up. But clearly, number one, no change, Arizona. Agreed. I just know they're not one of those four, and yet out of this year's teams, it's hard. Right. It's hard to argue that they're not going to receive. It's been a couple of weeks now. They've received all the first place votes, so it not a surprise there.
And the other thing is, um, and I apologize. I had myself on mute there for a second. For everybody watching and listening there. The other thing is Michigan. They leapfrogged UConn, and UConn didn't lose. But when you beat two top 10 teams, a little bit of luck in the Nebraska one, considering they're missing two guys, but nothing, no asterisk about them beating Michigan State. And rightfully so, they're back to the number two spot, and it's been Arizona and Michigan for a lot of the year now. You've got UConn at 3, Duke at 4, Illinois, one of the big risers from last week, beating Nebraska. Really big win for them, getting the second game of that 2 games series with them splitting it with Nebraska. Gonzaga, and then Iowa State rounding out your top 7.
So a couple of things there. One on Illinois. For me, who may not watch every game, the emergence of Keelan Wagner,
Keaton.
Wagler,
Keaton Wagler.
Keaton. Yeah, I got the L and the T. It couldn't. He's special. He's a special young man. Needs a little bit of weight on him, but he. I mean, I think Illinois is on a 7-game win streak now, and it's uh, so that's the first thing that jumps out of me, and that Michigan did leapfrog UConn, but didn't receive any first place votes. So
No, nor should they.
right, so it's still Arizona on top. Michigan, UConn, I think are actually almost in a tier above Duke. You know, a little cutoff there. Duke,
Yep.
Illinois, Gonzaga, I think, are
Well,
the next three.
there's a big gap after Duke to Illinois. All right, 8, 9, and 10.
Well,
Houston, Nebraska, and Michigan State. Houston moving up a couple spots. Nebraska and Michigan State each falling. Nebraska had a couple losses. Michigan State went 1-1, but needed to go to overtime to beat the sub 500 Rutgers team. I know this is all about like the number of points they get, but Nebraska falling less spots than Michigan State doesn't really sit right to me, considering Nebraska didn't have two of their starters for the Michigan game. But I do like the fact that they only fell 4 spots. I think Michigan State could have fell further, a little bit further. I think they could be 12, but we'll get to that in just a bit here.
um, by the way, Houston has an up and coming match with UCF, who is, starting to make a little bit of noise there. So I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Uh, but rounding out the top, 10, again, you see one, two, three, four Big Ten schools, and Purdue is at 12. So once again, 5 of the top 12 are from the Big Ten. And then the Big 12 has got 4 of the top 11. So, I mean, those two right now are clearly the power conferences where, at any given night you have a great matchup, but they also have to play against teams in the top 12 frequently. So, I really look at that as the two conferences that are this year's elite conferences. It'll be very interesting when we get to March Madness. How many of these teams are we going to pick to go all the way? To go all the way to, sorry, let me clarify that. To get into the Sweet 16.
It,
How many of them will make it?
and maybe because of last year and how dominant the SEC was, but maybe that's skewing my perception here. But I just don't look at them as elite. I think they are the best conferences, but I don't look at them as elite, if that makes sense.
Well, it does because Arizona is alone at number one, and then you go to number 7 with Iowa State, 8 Houston, and Houston is not the team of last year, though they're very good. And then you go to Kansas at number 11, and Kansas. What are we going to say? I mean, when Peterson is playing,
They look
they
like
could be
a top 5 team, top
abs-
easily, easily. But the problem is he's played in like half the games. In like half the games he's played in, he only plays a half of a game. But the guy is so freaking good that even the BYU game was the best I've seen him. He just looked like himself in terms of his ability to attack the basket, which he hadn't been doing a lot of, and then defend. Because he's a really good defender, and it's something that is underrated. And that's why this Kansas team is so good right now, but man, has the potential to be one of the best teams because they defend and they've had, because of Pearson being out, they've had guys like Melvin Council, Trey White, Bryson Tiller, even off the bench, Jamari McDowell, Elmarco Jackson really develop as this year has gone on. And if they can get Peterson healthy, I mean, it would be nice if he's healthy before March, but if they could get him healthy just for March, boy, could really go on a run.
well, I agree with you that they're ranked currently 11. A healthy Peterson, if you thought he would play 6 games. Because remember how I look at the March Madness, it's a 6 game winning streak against increasingly better competition, teams that are streaking, but it's a 6 game winning streak. Right now, Jack, would you bet that Peterson would play all 6 games?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, all right, let's keep it moving though.
All right.
You're right. You're right. But if he does, man, they are really good. They're great. Purdue, Texas Tech, North Carolina round out the top 14 here. Purdue, they at least they got a win. Good for them. Texas Tech lost to UCF. You mentioned them before. They have a matchup with Houston. North Carolina moved up a couple spots. They've been playing much better since they came back from California. 15 through 21. This is where we got more risers and fallers here. Vanderbilt had a solid week here with wins over Kentucky. I forgot who their other win was over. BYU slides 3 spots after losing to Kansas. Florida moved up a couple spots. Virginia moved down 1. St. Louis, man, they're in the top 20. Pretty crazy. Clemson at 20, and then Arkansas at 21. Beat Oklahoma, but then losing at home to Kentucky after Kentucky lost by 25 to Vanderbilt. It's funny, just a quick note on that game. Last year, Calipari goes back to Kentucky to play Kentucky with his Arkansas team, and they desperately needed a win, and Kentucky gets it. Or Arkansas gets it, excuse me. This year, Kentucky goes to Arkansas to face the old coach of the program, Calipari, and they desperately need the win, and they get it. So it's funny how both teams going into it, Arkansas last year, Kentucky this year, were not in good moments. Maybe this will spring this Kentucky team forward, although I wouldn't bet on that.
There was a lot of jawing after the game.
It's been a little bit of a consistent thing. Like Kentucky had that as well with Tennessee. They had a near altercation after they did have a big comeback win, but I have the sense that Kentucky players, albeit playing better of late, are frustrated just based off the amount of times this has happened. But both times in wins for Kentucky.
I'll say with Vanderbilt jumping back 3 spots because I think it was last week that they got completely punished. I think the voters here are suggesting that if Vandy puts it back together, they too can have a chance to rise again, just like Kansas is doing.
Yeah, well, I don't think as much, but yeah, I think they can go up. And rounding out the top 25, we've got St. John's, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, who slid 4 spots after. We'll talk about that. And Tennessee is our lone new entrant into the poll. So St. John's only had 1 game. They beat Butler. They've got a big game coming up this week, which we'll talk about in a moment here. Miami of Ohio, still undefeated. The 2 undefeated teams left, Miami of Ohio and Arizona. And Louisville, I didn't seek this out, but Coach Kelsey's post-game press conference showed up on my YouTube feed for the SMU game. He mentioned the Duke game 3 times. He said, he felt like the team was going to respond really well after that. He felt like, this is almost a direct quote. I may miss a word here or there, but he said in the SMU game in the first half, he felt like they were getting, really good shots, unlike the Duke game where it felt like they were shooting over 600 people. And now, really important win for them to beat SMU. Mikel Brown Jr. had a really good game off the bench. Getting Kanai Roots back, really important for them. Let's see if they can start playing some better basketball as we get deeper into the season. This was a team that was a top 10 team preseason, and a team I thought could contend for a Final Four spot. Yes, Mikel Brown Jr. has been hurt. Kenai Roots missed some games, but they haven't played like the team that I thought they could be in the preseason.
So let's break it down by division. So the Big 12 has 6 teams in the top 25. The Big 10 has 5. The ACC has 5 teams, a far cry from last year with 5 teams in the top 25. The SEC has 4. The Big East has 2, which, kind of the last couple of years hasn't had very many teams in there, not the Big East of old. But even with there are other teams like Creighton used to always get in there, and
Not
but
yeah,
they have 2. And then the 3 that are, sort of like it's Gonzaga, it's St. Louis, and Miami of Ohio. And I think Gonzaga's playing really good ball. And I also think that it's really nice to see the love being given to St. Louis and Miami of Ohio. They moved up a spot. They're 23 now.
yeah,
I guess if they go undefeated, the I know their strength of schedule is just not great, but it's nice to see that if you are in a mid-major conference and you go 22-0 and you just keep winning and you're scoring like 100 points a game, that you're going to get some recognition.
yep, yep.
Well, let's put it this way: would you want to play him in the first round?
Um, well, what team do I have?
I don't care. I wouldn't want to play him.
I might want to play them. I really might because they haven't played anybody all year, and it could be a big wake up call for them. But it depends. It depends on who my team is. Like if I'm Florida, yeah, because I've got real size. I don't think they have real size. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
They put up a lot of points.
They put up a lot of
All right,
points.
Jack. Who do you got for matchups for the week?
I got one more thing on the top 25. I mean, Woolfolk is 6'9", 245. He's not tiny by any means. So Alabama dropped out of the top 25, so cheating doesn't help you stay in the top 25. But what's most interesting to me, do you know who the number 1 team is in the SEC right now in terms of the conference standings?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's clearly not going to be Vanderbilt, who's the highest ranked team.
Correct.
At 19-3.
Correct.
After that, it's Arkansas, and then it's Tennessee. So you're saying there's clearly, if you're asking me, there's somebody else with a better record in the conference.
That's exactly right. The conference leader right now is Texas A&M, who is not ranked. I think they're 26th or 27th. Let me double check. If you expand, yeah, they're 26th. So if you were to expand it to the top 26, they'd be number 26. But they have the best record in the SEC, and they're not ranked. Isn't that bizarre?
Well, it certainly is, because if they're 26 and Tennessee is 25, you might have think that there was a lot of debate as to which team they were going to slip into the top 25.
True. All right. To your point, though, big games ahead this week. Tonight, 9 o'clock, a big one, a real big one. Kansas, Texas Tech. Boy, do I hope Peterson is healthy, because that would be Peterson and Badunga going up against Anderson and Toppin. I mean, that is some high quality basketball right there. Tomorrow night, Miami, Ohio. Every week, as long as they're undefeated, got to highlight one of their games. They take on Buffalo at 6:30. And then you gotta get to the weekend for some better matchups here. You've got let's see, Friday.
Oh, tell me that's not true. I got to wait from Tuesday night. Well, at least there'll
There
be,
there are other
partial to having the fact that there'll be a Duke game on.
yeah,
But you're saying Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
there are
not much.
ranked teams who play, but not ranked on ranked matchups.
Got it.
That's what I like to highlight here,
I know.
except for Miami of Ohio, because they get their own category here. Friday, 8 o'clock, UConn St. John's. We get to see if St. John's recent run is legit. UConn's had some scares in conference play, so I think that should be a close game. Then Saturday is where you get the big matchup, starting with the biggest game of the week, 6:30, Duke, North Carolina. I mean, it as Jay Billa says, it always delivers, except for maybe last year. The first game really was not very good. Yeah, the conference tournament game turned out to be a great game. Jalen Withers, over the line. One of those. 8 o'clock,
I think we I think we have every reason to believe this should be a
great game.
going into it a great game, great atmosphere, great everything.
Bo-
But that doesn't necessarily mean that there will be, one team might break away.
Boozer and Wilson, two of the, in my opinion, top three players in this year's draft. 8 o'clock, Illinois, Michigan State, number 5 and number 10. That's the best in terms of like the lowest rankings of two ranked teams, if that makes sense. And
Yep.
then 10:30, Kingston Flemings in Houston goes to, where are they? Provo, Utah, taking on BYU and AJ
Whoa.
DeBonza. A long night
What
Saturday night. A long night. But it should be
gonna
a
need
lot of fun.
gonna need a little bit of napping.
Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to those games Saturday night. And the one team, I mentioned this before, but I want to double check before we sign off here. Arizona. So they play, it starts really for them the following week. They play at Kansas, then
Wow.
home Texas Tech,
Whoa.
then home BYU, then at Houston. I mean, that is a sick 4-game stretch. And if they are still undefeated after that, I think we're going to have to, well, I can't speak for you, but I'm going to have to amend my statement and say they do belong with those top 4 teams from last year.
Oh, if they run the gauntlet with those 4 teams,
Yeah.
no question.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we're sort of dancing because they haven't had so many high-level matchups. They look really good.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Go ahead.
Let's see. I'm just looking this up. They have beat this year Florida. They're 9-0 in Quad 1. Florida, UCLA, UConn, Auburn, Alabama, and then San Diego State, TCU, UCF, BYU. So I would say Florida, the UConn one, I know both you and I, there's a little bit of an asterisk there. Auburn and Alabama are no longer ranked. By the time they beat them, they were ranked. And BYU is a solid win as well. The Florida one has aged really well. But at the same time, the Florida that's playing right now is way better. Their guards are playing much better than they were at the start of this year when they played Arizona. But that was a very close game. It went down to the wire. So I think Arizona has played pretty difficult competition, but as you said, the gauntlet coming up for them is steep for sure.
I think there's one thing we forgot to say, Jack.
Yeah, it's all right. We're already at the end here, but yeah, if you're still out there watching and listening, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time, peace.